Here, March 25th, 7:53 p.m. This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com with my daily combat sports news update. Samoa Joe's 30-day suspension for violating WWE's wellness policy ended yesterday. They are supposedly taping WrestleMania today and tomorrow. So that means he could definitely have an appearance in WrestleMania. In some news that I feel sorry for him about, Davey Boy Smith Jr. could not get to Japan for his All Japan Pro Wrestling Carnival of Champions tournament due to travel restrictions. He did tell me yesterday that he is going to do a Skype interview with me in the coming days. So we'll try and get Davey Boy Smith on here. He is the Hannibal TV champion, and in my opinion, the best technical wrestler, bar none, in the world today, and could probably beat just about every wrestler out there, every professional wrestler in a grappling match. Unless, of course, there's always fluke situations, but he's very, very well trained technically. Dana White said today that the UFC 249 card will likely be a totally new card that will have a mixture of new fights and bouts that have already been announced. They're probably going to try and get Francis Ngannou heavyweight fight on that event too. The California State Athletic Commission is canceling all events through the end of April. So we'll see. Whenever there was supposed to be a PCW Ultra event this Friday that was canceled. No news on whenever the next date's going to be because everything's up in the air right now. It looks like the Olympics are canceled. They're going to be delayed until 2021 now as well. There is a Whatculture wrestling video that many people have sent me related to the biggest wrestling lawsuits. My lawsuit against Abdullah the Butcher was number 9. They had a lot of false information actually in their little clip about my lawsuit. And they used some Great North Wrestling footage and said it was actually from a company that I've never even heard of. So I found that weird. I don't know if they purposely didn't want to plug Great North Wrestling and just invented some other company's name or what. But they also said that that lawsuit that I won, by the way, in both Canada and the US, part of it was I said it cost me a WWE contract. Well, let me tell you what the fact is. It did cost me a WWE contract. I had a WWE contract and I failed the medical because at the time I had hepatitis C. So they took it away. That was the exact reason given for my contract being taken away. And that was the basis of what my collection was on it, which in the years since the lawsuit, unfortunately, we won first in Canada. It was 2 years before we got the lawsuit endorsed in the US. He sold his main restaurant in that time, which he also owned the property of. He sold the property of that restaurant. He also transferred numerous other properties. He still has his second restaurant in a mall. It's under incorporation. And he does live in a very nice house, which is under his wife's name. The collection matter is going to go on. But unfortunately, he's just a sneaky piece of crap. And just to be clear, for anyone that says, well, you should have expected to catch hepatitis C from wrestling Abdullah the Butcher, he's a crazy bad man. Wrestling is fucking fake. He was really a janitor from Windsor, Ontario. He's not from the Sudan. He's not actually stabbing you with a fork. And going into that match, he didn't tell me, by the way, Hannibal, I have hepatitis C. I'm going to cut you with a blade. I'm going to insert this blade into my head numerous times. And I'm going to take that same blade with my blood on it, and I'm going to insert it into your body with my blood on it, putting my blood directly into your body and cut you with it. He did not tell me that. And that's not something normal or accepted in wrestling. So total scumbag there. Someone mentioned yesterday that I'm swearing a lot more in my videos lately. Well, for one thing, I normally, when my gym was still open, I was usually doing these updates after the gym when I'm tired, and like usually after the gym, I go in the hot tub and the sauna. So I'm more relaxed, but also I'm being denied the gym right now. It's bizarre because here where I live, they still have liquor stores open, but they have gyms closed. And now I guess they're arresting people that violate the isolation thing that they're trying to make everyone isolate themselves. But they're releasing criminals from jail. Make sense of that. It doesn't make any sense. I've been listening. You guys all know I try and get all the news. I do listen to Dave Meltzer's program. And it's funny that people like Dave Meltzer and other people that work from home are so like for this quarantine thing. It doesn't affect their income at all. I've told you guys this. I have a regular job, and my regular job is canceled indefinitely. There's at least I have YouTube income coming in. Thank God. Thank you for all you viewers that watch my content. But I feel for people out there that are being denied work and are still going to have bills coming in, families to feed, but yet they won't be allowed to work because of this. So that really sucks. I am interviewing via Skype Rick Bassman tonight. He helped train the Ultimate Warrior. He helped break John Cena into the business, helped train Sting. So I'm actually interviewing him in exactly an hour on Skype. I'm working on a lot of Skype interviews since my next interview trips have been canceled due to the borders being closed. So I'll answer some of your questions now. That's about all the news for today. And by the way, my full Vince Russo is up at patreon.com/thehannibaltv. I'm sorry for the Patreons that I was supposed to get a bunch of new interviews starting this week. I'm actually supposed to be not in cold, snowy Canada right now. I'm actually supposed to be in Arizona this week, but the border's closed. So as I said, I'll make it up to you guys with the ad-free Skype interviews on there in the meantime. And as soon as they open this border, I'm going to start with Butterbean, and I'm going to get a ton of new interviews. AJRX, have I ever interviewed Sandman about Nancy Benoit? Yes, my full interview with Sandman is on this channel. Look it up. It's posted free. He talks about Nancy Benoit in it. Ultimate Warrior says, thanks for the updates. Keep up the hard work. By the way, my Ultimate Warrior compilation video has over 100,000 hits in a matter of days. And as soon as I'm done this, I'm pretty much going to post my Macho Man compilation video, which is pretty good, I must say. Hi, back to you. Missy Anno Dupato. Colonel Quayle says, I Instagram you about it. I'll be honest, I'm not the one that actually operates the Instagram. Message me at Devon Hannibal Nicholson or at Devon Hannibal on Twitter, DEVONHANNIBAL. I don't understand Instagram. And that also goes for the hate mail, because I don't actually read it, and some of the hate mail I get has freaked people out on there. Which reminds me, the people, as I said, I'm not taking Russo's side fully on anything, but there are people that were criticizing Russo's supposed restraining order on Jim Cornette that I guess he's selling at autograph sessions. I posted a video yesterday of him talking about it. They, at least in Canada, they don't just give out restraining orders. I actually had a crazy, insane fan back in 2012, 2013, and it was a female actually, and she was legitimately screwing around with my life. Like, I'm not going to get into it. I could actually make a movie of how crazy she was. But in Canada, it's called a peace bond, not a restraining order. And to get that, at least in Canada, there was several trials that I had to go through to get that peace bond. Luckily, eventually, the equivalent here to the district attorney, the crown attorney, took over the case for me. So I was able to stop paying legal fees because it was serious enough for the crown to take it over. But I don't think that you can just get a restraining order like that unless there's like some merit to it. At least not in Canada. I don't know about Indiana where Vince Russo got his. Dark Moon Warrior, can I interview Tatanka? I had a really bad experience with Tatanka. I don't like Tatanka at all. So I will never interview Tatanka, sorry. And it's not just from wrestling him. This guy, when I wrestled him, I would get a chop in the esophagus, a chop in the lip, chop in the nipples, and he didn't cut his nails, so you had scratches all over you. He had gas one of the times I wrestled him in the ring. But yeah, I'm not going to get into it because I don't like him and I really don't even want to bring his name up. But no, and Vicky Guerrero, I lost a lot of respect for that dark side of the ring shit that she said about Sullivan. It was all one-sided, that thing with Benoit's friends, and I have no interest in interviewing Vicky at all. Vance Albright, what's my best interview ever? The one I was most honored to do, the guy I had the most respect for is Dan Gable, personally. But if you want to go by hits, my Honky Tonk Man 3-hour interview has almost 3 million hits. So from a hit standpoint, it would be that one. I hope that he will do another interview with me one day. Someone says they think Abdullah had a restaurant in Japan at one day. I reckon Benoit was gone mentally with his head trauma, drug and alcohol abuse. Jason Jaze says. MRRED says my interview with Mark Coleman and so many others was brilliant. The Mark Coleman one, I would highly recommend to MMA fans. It's on there. It's a long one too. I think it's nearly 3 hours. Definitely watch that. Mr. Iron said he hated Dark Side of the Ring. Will I interview Steve Austin or ever go on his podcast? He has said a few times to keep telling him when I'm in the LA area. And if it ever works out that he's not busy, he said he would have me on his podcast. So yeah, that's where it goes from there. Krilling876 tipped me $2. Any update on Steiner/Tank? Well, Tank Abbott is in the hospital. I actually just talked to his wife yesterday, and it sucks because of the virus, Tank Abbott is not allowed to have visitors because they're not allowing visitor. I think he's at Cedars-Sinai Hospital in the LA area. He had a blockage in his intestines, and as you guys are well aware from all the interviews I've done with him, he had a kidney and liver transplant over the past few years. They don't know what's wrong with them really, but he's not in good condition. For Steiner, I heard that he's still doing appearances, so he must be better. Joe Beck, Ricky Morton Skype. I'm going to do a real Ricky Morton interview because I am going to go in the Tennessee, Alabama area as soon as they open the border, put it that way, because it's not that far from me. So I'd rather interview Ricky Morton in person because overall the Skypes don't get as many hits, but I am, as I said, working on lots of Skypes for you guys. Dark Moon Warrior, am I the only one to get a shoot interview with Rocky Johnson? As far as I know, yes. Sid and Marty Jannetty are my favorite interviews I have done. Joe Beck says, well, Sid, who knows? I might get another one this year with Sid. Sid and I are longtime friends, and he doesn't get the respect he deserves. One, because Ric Flair is Arn Anderson's best friend, and Sid had that incident with Anderson, where Anderson, by the way, pulled out the scissors first and used them first. And Sid, by the way, won that fight, despite taking multiple stabs. But a lot of people who are jealous of Sid, he always had to fight backstage politics, but he was over. If anyone wants to see just how over he was, look up the match of Sid against Big Bully Busick and listen to how crazy the crowd is going from that show. He could have been a huge star. He still was, but he never reached his full potential. Miguel says, I really like your interviews with Davey Boy Smith Jr. Carlos Padilla wants a shout out. There you go. I'm not going to say anything more about that other dickhead I had mentioned earlier. When am I going to interview Marty Squirrel? Unknown fast food critics say he's not someone I have any interest in interviewing. He's a boring person. Carlos Padilla, Giant Gonzalez versus Andre the Giant. Wow. That would have been quite a match, I have to admit. Matt R, is Sid actually good at softball? There's a clip on here of an audio interview I did with Sid. Search it up, Sid Softball, the Hannibal TV. He talks about how good he is at softball. Krilling876, Sid is one of the most intimidating monsters watching as a kid in the early 90s. Tommy LeBlanc, good chat today. Joe Beck, loves Sid. Pork Chop, what's up, man? What's up? I got to get ready for my Rick Bassman interview in a second here. Dark Moon Warrior, what are my thoughts on the big boss man? I liked his music. I remember one time I was almost falling asleep driving on a really long drive, and there's two theme musics that will wake me up any day if I'm tired, and that's the Rougeau Brothers and the Big Boss Man. So yeah, have a good night, everybody. I'm going to post my Macho Man compilation video right now. It's pretty funny. It's pretty good. I don't know if Lanny's going to like it, but it's good.